Hello, my name is Mark Parson. I'm an anaesthetic registrar from Brighton. I, alongside the team listed below, investigated what major trauma centres actually included within their local tertiary survey proformas, and from there developed our own aggregated document. The Trauma Tertiary Survey itself is an essential part of the continued care for major trauma patients. It is performed to ensure that all injuries have been identified and none have been overlooked. At the Royal Sussex County Hospital in Brighton, a previous internal quality improvement project discovered poor completion rates of the single A4-page trauma tertiary survey, and a number of reasons were identified for that. We thought we could improve completion rates and documentation value, but first we had to start with the proforma itself. An initial literature search revealed that there are no universally accepted standards for a trauma tertiary survey. So our aims were 1. To improve the local tertiary survey proforma, 2. To produce a document that could be used in other hospitals, and this would be either as a comparator to their local document or a standalone proforma in itself. We sought to identify areas of patient assessment that could be reasonably expected within a trauma tertiary survey, and for this we had discussions with local consultant opinion, direct communication with the Royal College of Surgeons, and we reviewed the ATLS manual. From there we identified 32 points of assessment that could possibly be included within the Trauma Tertiary Survey proforma, and we called these features. Every UK major trauma centre was contacted and asked to send their local Trauma Tertiary Survey documentation. A total of 21 out of 26 UK major trauma centres had a Trauma Tertiary Survey proforma document, and we received a proforma from every hospital who had one. Thank you for all who helped. We had 2 rounds of document analysis. Round 1 involved the 4 authors, blinded to each other, reviewing each of the proformas in turn to see if they contained any of the features. Each feature was reviewed for the presence or absence within the proforma, and a Likert scale for how well the assessor perceived that the feature in the document fulfilled a theoretical gold standard. During this process, any previously unidentified features that were not currently being assessed were also noted down. At the end of this process, the team met online using video conference software to ensure consensus on presence or absence for each of the features and to collate newly identified features. These new features were then assessed in round 2 using the same methodology as round 1 document analysis. These are our results, which I put up for completeness. I will highlight particular aspects in the next slide. Each investigator produced 1,428 data points. Respiratory and abdominal assessment sections were the most frequently identified, each being found in 90% of the proformas. One area of inter-investigator debate was back and spine assessment. The mainstay of the debate being if you assess the back, are you assessing the spine, and would you document it? However, 24% of the proformas contained spine and back assessment, which may show that there does seem to be demand to separate these areas. In round 2, there are a number of features identified which were more based around focus areas of care, which were often thought-provoking additions. From our results and analysis, we then produced a model trauma tertiary survey proforma. This contains all identified features from all the major trauma centres and highlights areas of increased risk for missed injuries that we've identified from a literature search. The design of each feature in the model proforma was based on those which scored highly in the Likert analysis where agreement was high. Features are grouped together in an intuitive way in a sequential order to facilitate comprehensive patient review and efficient clinical documentation. For example, a negative examination of the chest wall can be documented in 1 pen strike. Overall, we've identified 68 key features, and ultimately we've demonstrated disparity between the proformas from around the UK. We've implemented a systematic way of approaching proforma analysis and collating results into a unified document, and we've included checks for the more commonly missed type injuries. We feel having 4 investigators means we've got robust identification of feature presence or absence. We have not yet identified any projects similar to this that have been undertaken. Unfortunately, poor inter-investigator agreement on Likert scoring has meant that analysis of this has been difficult. This, however, probably reflects the real-world situation with varied opinions and the individual ways in people interact with and perceive a document. We appreciate the 4-page model proforma that we've produced is a relatively large document. However, we've kept it this way in order to group all the ideas from around the UK in one area, in order to give interested parties an unabridged overview of what could be included in a Trauma Tertiary Survey proforma. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak. If there is anyone from a major trauma centre who is interested in passing comment on our model pro forma, then please email me and I'll send you a document and a questionnaire.